Hello there, it is the 31st of March 2022. Greetings from Rwanda's capital, Kigali. Let us kick things off with the headlines. President Paul Kagame has commended the World Economic Forum for its continued commitment in helping Rwanda's efforts to become a digital economy.
The French development CEO Remy Roy kicked off a two-day visit to Rwanda, announcing that in the next 2 years his country will allocate 200 million euros to Rwanda, in addition to the 218 million euros provided in 2019.
Refugees living in camps in Rwanda say that doing business has brought about a change in their lives as life was difficult before.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Rwanda Television News. My name is Sam Kalisa.
And my name is Martina Vera.
How are you doing, Martina?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm very okay.
All right, let's kick
it off tonight.
Yes. President Paul Kagame has commended the World Economic Forum for its continued commitment in helping Rwanda's efforts to become a digital economy. The head of state made the remarks on Thursday as Rwanda became the first African country to launch the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution.
The Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, Rwanda, is meant to accelerate inclusive technology advancement, a branch of the World Economic Forum. It is the first to be launched on the African continent. While inaugurating the center, President Paul Kagame described technology as an important pillar in the lives of people in today's world, thanking partners who continue to support Rwanda's digital advancement.
Over the years, the forum has accompanied our country's ambition to be a digital economy, aiming at inclusive and sustainable growth. The launch of the center is happening at a critical time, and we must take full advantage of it. In Rwanda and all over the world, emerging technologies have driven innovations to contain the COVID pandemic and mitigate its impact on livelihoods. This has sped up changes that were already underway. The way we live, work, and interact with each other will keep evolving as technology does. But data governance frameworks have not kept up with the fast pace of digital transformation. I therefore commend the Center for supporting the development of Rwanda's personal data protection and privacy law. And the policy will safeguard our citizens while leveraging emerging technologies for the betterment of our communities.
Borge Brond, president of the World Economic Forum, noted that good governance is one of the reasons why Rwanda became the first African country to launch the center.
This is the first center to be formally launched in Africa. It also says a lot about the leadership in this country when it comes to leapfrogging and being visionary when it comes to the new technologies. This is, as I said, the first center to formally be launched in Africa, and also a reflection of the special relationship between the government of Rwanda and the World Economic Forum. The President came to our annual meeting in Davos for the first time more than 20 years ago, and since then, the President has been very regular. Under your leadership, President Kagame, my dear friend, Rwanda has made important economic and structural reforms and sustained its economic growth rates over the last decade, and is now rebounding also after handling the pandemic in a very responsible way. Our economist at the World Economic Forum is expecting more than 11% economic growth this year. I also think that this Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution will play an important role to meet the vision of Rwanda becoming an upper middle income country by 2035.
Professor Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, finds that the center is going to be at the forefront of the African technological revolution and says that he himself will visit the center in the near future.
I have no doubt this center will herald in a new era, not just for Rwanda and its people, but for the whole continent. This center has already been busy on the frontiers of healthcare, artificial intelligence, and data policy. It is laying now the groundwork for Rwanda to lead Africa in the fourth industrial revolution. Rwanda is an example of post-COVID resilience and a pioneer to bring vaccine production to the African continent.
The program for Centers of Fourth Industrial Revolution was launched by the World Economic Forum in 2017. Since then, 16 centers have been established, and the Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution Rwanda is the 17th and the first on the African continent, as the South African Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution has not been officially launched. Still on the launch of this center, earlier in the day, President Paul Kagame had also met with Borge Brand, the president of the World Economic Forum, for discussions on various topics of global relevance, as well as ongoing areas of partnership between Rwanda and the World Economic Forum. Still on President Paul Kagame's audience engagements, President Paul Kagame on Thursday received Lieutenant Engineer Ibrahim Gabriel Ibrahim, a member of the Sovereign Transitional Council of Sudan, who is in Rwanda as a special envoy, with a message from General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, President of the Sovereign Transitional Council of the Republic of Sudan.
President Kagame also received a delegation led by Liberata Mulamula, Tanzania's Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is in Rwanda as special envoy, with a message from President Samia Suluhu Hassan.
As we move ahead to other matters, the French Development Agency CEO Remy Roy kicked off a two-day visit to Rwanda, announcing that in the next 2 years, his country will allocate 200 million euros to Rwanda, in addition to the 218 million euros provided in 2019.
The CEO of the French Development Agency, Remy Roy, accompanied by the Minister of State in charge of Economic Planning in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Claudine Ouera, has officially opened the office in Kigali.
Thank you very much to Agence Française de Développement for also the commitment when it comes to the teaching of French language in schools in Rwanda. This is really a great commitment, and it's a high priority for Rwanda as well. And when it comes to the technical expertise and the capacity building they're providing, and that within this program, this is something that we really appreciate a lot. So for future cooperation, as you know, the government of Rwanda is implementing its national strategy for transformation. That goes between 2017 and 2024. We've been discussing that all areas and priority will go through, and then within this national strategy for transformation, as we aim just to be a middle-income country by 2035, and a high-income country by 2050. And of course, we've been discussing all the challenges we experienced through this pandemic, and that's really Rwanda tackled in a strategic way by implementing the economic recovery plan. And there's really a good news that Agence Française de Développement is really also working toward this direction, just supporting and contributing significantly just to implementing priority under the economic recovery plan. So we salute this collaboration, and it's a very good beginning, and I can say this renewal of relationship, both political and economically, is really something both countries really will gain.
In the next 2 years, the AFD will allocate 200 million euros to Rwanda, which is more than 200 billion Rwandan francs, which will be in addition to the 218 million euros provided in 2019. It is money spent in various sectors, including health, education, vocational training, economic development, and helping people access basic services. Remy Roy, CEO of the French Development Agency, says that the development activities will go hand in hand with the development of the French language.
We now have about more than 10 professionals here for the AFD group in Kigali as another step in the momentum that is growing in our bilateral relationship. I'm also here, of course, to verify that we are on track of the commitments made. So maybe you remember during the visit last May, Minister Le Drian, Minister of Foreign Affairs of France, signed with his counterpart a plan, a strategic plan that supposed to invest 500 million in the coming years here in Rwanda of French ODA. And I wanted to assure you that we are precisely on track with more than 200 million euro already committed and being implemented, so on the way of reaching this mark that was set by our leaders. We worked on the answer to the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, with the government. We worked on vocational training, supporting IPRC in Tumba, and there's a plan to expand in other districts this support to vocational training. Also with the World Bank project on energy that is ongoing, and a specific plan that we will launch tomorrow with the Minister of Education about Francophonie in Rwandan curricula. It was the request that President Kagame asked me in June 2019, very precisely, to accompany the teaching of French in Rwandan schools.
The French Development Agency and the Development Bank of Rwanda on Thursday signed a 5-year cooperation agreement. Some of the things that will be highlighted include community development projects, the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and other development projects that help protect the environment.
Nous sommes très convaincus du rôle, de la mission, Madame la Ministre, essentielle des banques publiques de développement.
We value the role and responsibility of development banks in bringing about positive change in our countries, supporting projects that bring innovation, which is something to be proud of, in other activities including tackling the effects of climate change related to culture and sports. We also found out that BRD launched a program to help people get access to electricity. It is something we are very grateful for.
Et je voulais vous en féliciter.
Development cooperation between AFD and BRD is worth more than 23 billion Rwandan francs. Remy Rioux, CEO of the French Development Agency, also visited the Kigali Genocide Memorial in Gisozi. Him, together with his delegates, were taken through how the genocide against the Tutsi was planned and carried out, and the steps that Rwandans have taken to rebuild. He laid flowers at the graves that are buried in more than 250,000 Tutsi victims of the genocide. In the guest book, he wrote that the Kigali Genocide Memorial is a global witness, the evils of the genocide against the Tutsi, that reconciliation and justice were what helped Rwandans heal their wounds and prepare for a better future. This is the 4th time that the CEO of the French Development Agency has visited Rwanda in the last 3 years. It is a visit that the two countries will use to see the progress made in the teaching of the French language, technology, and the development of sports. Refugees living in camps in Rwanda say that doing business has brought about a change in their lives, as life was difficult before. According to the ministry in charge of emergency management, the income of refugees is increasing in all camps across the country, as well as refugees living outside camps, as the aid provided to them reduces. Jen Mutoni with more.
It is one of the markets in Mahama camp in Kirehe district, which is no different from other local markets. Atanas Habyarimana is a refugee from Burundi. He opened a shop in the refugee camp. He says it is worth 10 million Rwandan francs. He says that life has been easier since because he earned some income.
I started by selling a few things on the table and it was going well. We were given loans, hence reaching at this stage. I have children who study in regular schools outside the camp and I pay their school fees. I buy goods in bulk from Kigali from time to time in Kabarondo, and I have a car, so there's no problem at all.
Usually, refugees are given a monthly stipend of 7,000 Rwandan francs depending on the level of ability of the family members, and some are not eligible because they are capable of sustaining themselves. Vuganeza Andre, the director of Mahama Camp, says that when refugees are able to do income-generating activities, it prevents them from becoming a burden to the host country.
Some are capable and others are assisted because the law allows them to operate anywhere in the country. When refugees have income-generating activities, it prevents them from being burdens to the country, as they no longer need aid and are capable of sustaining and feed themselves.
The minister in charge of emergency management, Kaisire Marie Solange, encourages refugees to come up with ideas for income-generating activities to make their lives better, because their aid is sometimes reduced or eliminated.
Biri mu nkambi zose biriya mwabonye ndetse no mu mujyi wa Kigali impunzi ziba mu mujyi.
It's everywhere in all camps, and refugees living in the city are doing so as well. When a person develops, it benefits the country as well, and that is what we encourage them to achieve as much as possible, so that in the coming days, in case of no aid, there will be self-sufficient people. Refugees in camps are usually the ones who are provided aid depending on the level of capacity they have. Also, refugees living outside camps are also eligible to apply to live in the camps and receive aid as well. Of the more than 127,000 refugees housed in Rwanda, the total number of refugees with income-generating activities is 5,381. Jane Mutoni, RTV News.
Thank you, Jen, for the report. And as we move ahead, according to the Rwanda Transport Development Agency, RTDA, in 5 days, roads linking Kigali and the southern province will be repaired and transport will resume to normalcy. This is after the road in Kamonyi district from Wednesday was severely damaged, hindering students that were leaving for holidays and other passengers from getting buses. Jen Mutoni continues.
Passengers and drivers allege that the damage to the road has affected them, hence being delayed in their various plans, and that some were overcharged and the cars did not leave them at the agreed destination. 2,500 is supposed to be a transport fee to and fro, but today drivers tell you that it's not even enough to get you to the destination. I believe the government does its best in our interest. We ask them that they look into this issue. The road was damaged at Rwamushumba, about 2 kilometers from Ruyenzi to Kigali. Patrick Emile Baganizi, Deputy Director General of RTDA, says that while that part of the road is being repaired, methods have been implemented to ensure that means of transport carry on.
In a long-term plan to expand concrete roads that join different provinces, there are roads that we are constructing across the country so that when such cases occur, passengers will have other routes that they can use. Currently, we are constructing a road from Goma to Ramiro in Bugesera to Nyanza. We've already completed the part of the road from Bugesera to Rwabusoro. We are remained with the part from Rwabusoro to Nyanza. After the whole road is complete, people driving from Rusumo or Kigali, going to the southern province and want to use the fastest route will use it.
RTDA says it plans to continue expanding roads and repairing old ones in all directions with the aim to ensure that in the future such cases get attended to immediately. The Butare-Kigali road has been in operation for more than 20 years, which means it is getting old because its initial lifetime was supposed to be 2 decades. Hence, RTDA says it has already done a thorough study on how to repair it once the budget is available. Jane Mutoni, RTV News.
Thank you, Jen, for that report. Moving on, the use of science and technology to deal with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic in developing countries is viewed as one of the possible tools that can provide long-term solutions to problems caused by this pandemic. This was pointed out on Thursday in the first Rwanda Science, Technology and Innovation Conference. Olive Nhete with more.
Technology has been effective and also played an important role in fighting against COVID-19. When this pandemic first case was reported in Rwanda, different measures were taken to contain the spread, and during that period, robots were deployed in different places to help in different activities so as to mitigate the spread of the virus. Zorabots Africa, a company which deals in different robotic solutions, provided robots which were used at the forefront in fighting the pandemic. Benjamin Karenzi, the Chief Executive Officer of Zorabots, notes that they will keep providing technological services in various ways.
We are now using the robots and other smart devices. This is due to the power of the ZBOS system to check if they're vaccinated and if they have taken their booster shot. And that is very paramount. And the reason why we are doing this, it is key to remember that COVID found the entire world unprepared. And today, every information the robot carries is stored, meaning that the future generations that will need to learn how this pandemic was managed will see the data and will be able to see what were the measures, where to improve and what to maintain. This is why we are really putting a lot of technology and innovations in the fight against COVID, so that we are prepared for any pandemic or epidemic before it comes.
During the program of Rwanda Innovation Challenge, 34 projects were exhibited, and among them, 14 are now available at the market. These projects are sponsored by the National Council for Science and Technology, where each receives 8 million Rwandan francs. The government of Rwanda has so far sponsored these projects with an amount of 4 billion Rwandan francs. Dr. Eugene Mutimura, the Executive Secretary of NSST, notes that they will keep supporting scientists and researchers.
The importance of this conference is actually to ensure that people deliberate on health challenges affecting their lives. But the most important as well is to ensure that we motivate scientists, we motivate researchers, and we shall be awarding them with the best we can afford. This year, we'll give approximately $8,000 per award, about 8 million Rwandan francs. That will increase from time to time.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Daniel Ngamije, points out that technology has assisted in fighting against the pandemic and also notes that technology is useful in providing solutions to various problems in the health sector.
We use deliberately technology solutions including robots, drones, bracelets, GPS for tracking system for cross-border trucks, and also several digital software. As we look ahead to leveraging science and technology in the pandemic, especially for developing countries, we aim to improve our data system to handle future pandemics, including sub-regional data sharing, but also leveraging technology and knowledge transfer in vaccine production with required upskilling Rwandans, operators and scientists who will work closely with biotech partner in mRNA vaccine production for COVID-19, but also for other endemic diseases.
The first Science, Technology and Innovation Conference will last 2 days and will give an opportunity to innovators to showcase their innovative technologies through exhibition as well as awarding best researchers. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive, for the report. Still onto educational matters, the Ministry of Education has signed a memorandum of understanding with African New Life Ministries to implement the I Lead in Schools in Rwanda, which has been ongoing for 3 months now. The launch was held today, and the partnership has been signed between African New Life Ministries and John Maxwell Leadership Foundation for the Youth Leadership Development Program. We do have the report with C.D. Patel.
An MOU had been signed between the Ministry of Education and African New Life Ministries 3 months prior for the implementation of I-Lead, a leadership program in Rwandan schools. An agreement had been signed between African New Life and John Maxwell Leadership Foundation. Mr. Pascal Gatabazi, the Chief Technical Advisor in the Ministry of Education, highlights on how it will be of the good value. The Ministry of Education is the policy-level government representative in the I-Lead program. This program has such a curriculum that increases one's self-worth, self-confidence and self-awareness.
This is a program that is going to instill values to our young people. And this, to me, adds value or complements to the national programs like National Itorero, that has been there to instill the values that we get from our culture of building our young people with with making the right choices, having the real values.
The students, Mr. Bemne Tenketem and Ms. Hiba Omar, express their views regarding the iLead program and give out their opinions on what they expect in the future.
Every student that has finished with the 3 years is now mature enough to know what they want to do in life, because as leaders you become more open-minded, so you can take that to your advantage, and now you learn more, or now you know how to dig deep down and know what your true passion is, because now before this your attitude to certain situations will change. I really wish that I become a version of myself that I never expected I could become.
We've only done this program for a short 6 weeks, but in those 6 weeks we've grown as a collective and as individuals. We meet once a week just for a simple 1 hour, and we basically use this to check up on each other, to see the goals that we've set for each other, to see if that we've grown in that 1 week, and to see if what we've learned in our sessions has been implemented throughout the week. We're learning things such as choices, attitude, patience. Many different things are in the pamphlet, and we find that each topic that we learn correlates to the other, and it segues into a bigger picture of leadership and understanding.
Dr. Charles Mugisha, the founder and president of African New Life, points out the advantages of this value-added program. The iLead program held today is a youth leadership development program that was conceived by Dr. John C. Maxwell. Approximately 93% of students taking this program felt that they have impacted the community by their values.
Shaping students, we are shaping future, not only Rwandan leaders, but Rwandan global leaders coming out of our nation. In fact, this program has come to enhance what the country is already doing, but in one way or the other, to give our younger people a broader global platform in the area of value-based leadership. We've also translated the entire program into Kinyarwanda. So for students who don't use English, they will be able to take on the program in the local language.
Mr. John Griffin, the director of global programs in Equip and Maxwell Leadership Foundation, talks on why they have chosen Rwanda. Dr. John Maxwell has developed the iLead program after 40 years of working with leaders of all spheres all over the world. iLead has been practiced in only 3 countries in South America, impacting over 1.8 million students in those countries. Rwanda is the first African country that has been identified to pioneer iLead in Africa.
Rwanda is the first African continent. We chose Rwanda because basically it was the right time, the setting, the place, the people. It was the right time to watch students who have left gangs, who have not returned to juvenile prisons, who've taken responsibility and are now servant leaders in their community. So we get very inspired by the students. The people here are saying is, you may not have a lot of natural resources to export to the world, but you're going to export leadership to the world.
They have been currently working in 11 schools of Kigali city. Their next step is to reach 30 schools in Rwanda with about 8,000 students participating. This is a great initiative under the Ministry of Education by African New Life and John Maxwell Foundation, which is going to be with a betterment for the Rwandan future leaders. Reporting, Siddhi Patel, RTV News.
And on behalf of the entire news and technical team that made it happen, many thanks for being with us tonight. My name is Sam Kalisa.
And mine, Martina Avera.
Stay safe.
And have a great night.
Bye.